Hello and welcome. It is Friday, October 30th, 2020, and this is Truly News. I am your host, Jason Van Sickle. Don't forget to check out our new print edition where you can find the stories from this podcast with links to the original articles. The site also features past issues and an archive of articles that is searchable by subject. The Truly News print edition is now available at trulynews.org. And now, on with today's podcast. As always, we start with a quick rundown of the top headlines from the nation's largest newspapers. And from USA Today, the country continues to deal with the newest wave of COVID as New York passes 500,000 cases, Wisconsin is running out of ICU beds, and the U.S. just passed 227,000 deaths. From the Wall Street Journal, Detroit has been slowly recovering since declaring bankruptcy in 2013, but lack of lending is a problem. The city of over 700,000 people saw only 1,700 new mortgages last year. And from the New York Times, on Thursday, swing states continue to see voting as the U.S. set a new one-day record of over 90,000 COVID cases, and the total number of U.S. cases passed 9 million. From the Los Angeles Times, LA's mayor and police chief assured voters that polling places are safe and ready for next week's election as concerns continue over voter intimidation and possible violence. And from the Washington Post, as the presidential campaign enters its final days, both candidates are focusing on Latino voters, which could be the key to winning important states across the country. And here are the stories that are crossing the wire at Reuters News. On Thursday, recovery and cleanup began in the Gulf Coast after Hurricane Zeta made landfall on Wednesday. More than 2 million people are presently without electricity. And also from Reuters, an appeals court sided with Republicans on Thursday, ruling against a Minnesota plan which would have allowed the counting of absentee ballots to continue past Election Day. And those are your top headlines for today. Now, here is our announcer, Ron Johnson, with a word from today's sponsor.
Today's sponsor is Apple with their new iBone. This high-tech doggy bone comes with 5G internet. Does that feature increase the value of the bone for your dog? No. It is a bone like any other bone. Your dog will chew it up and destroy it in minutes. But if you love your dog, then don't give it just any bone. Give it the iBone. Switch today and receive Apple's special introductory offer of just $699 for your first iBone. Thank you to Apple for today's sponsorship.
Thank you, Ron. And now we return to today's news. In science news from Popular Science, scientists are searching for the matter that makes up 84% of the universe. Presently, all of the elements that we have discovered only account for 16% of the universe's mass. The undiscovered rest is referred to as dark matter, and in a mine in North Dakota, 4,850 feet below the surface, scientists have set up detectors to try to detect dark matter particles. To read more about this and other articles in today's podcast, visit the Truly News print edition at trulynews.org. In technology news from CNET, on Wednesday, the CEOs of Google, Facebook, and Twitter clashed with senators over free speech on social media. The hearing was held to discuss Section 230, a law that protects social media companies from liability based on user content. Critics accuse the tech giants of not doing enough to deal with things like hate speech and misinformation. In space news from Science Magazine, Two new studies estimate that more water is on the moon than previously believed. This is good news for NASA and its plans to create a manned base on the moon as a launching point for destinations such as Mars. Ice can provide drinking water, and the water molecules can be split into hydrogen and oxygen for rocket fuel and breathable air. And that is your science, technology, and space news for today. Now, we take a break from the headlines and lighten the mood with our fake headlines of the day, presented by my friend, Billy Cunningham. Billy is a comedian who goes by the stage name Potbelly. And here's Billy.
Thank you, Jason. This is Billy Potbelly Cunningham with today's fake news headlines. And here we go. Today's headline, quote, Senators accuse tech CEOs of discrimination, unquote. Republicans who believe that social media censorship rules discriminate against conservatives grilled social media CEOs yesterday. At one point, one of the senators got upset and blurted out, "You are discriminating. I must be blocked on Facebook because I only have 10 friends and no one responds to my invites." Other senators in the room could be heard quietly giggling in response to his comments. And that is your fake news headline of the day. Until next time, be kind to others, be good to yourself, and keep on smiling. This is Billy Potbelly Cunningham. Over and out.
Thanks, Billy. We now return to our review of the day's news. In health news, from Science Daily, it has been known that people who exercise tend to have a better response to cancer than inactive people. Now, a new study has an explanation. In research published in the journal eLife, scientists have found that exercise can stall cancer growth by changing the metabolic rate in the immune system. That helps cancer-fighting cells to do their job. In social news from the Gallup polling agency, the Pope recently announced support for the legalization of gay marriage. However, research going back to 2011 shows support among Catholics. In Gallup polling since 2011, Catholics have consistently backed gay marriage, with an average of 59% supporting it from 2011 to 2015. That has grown to a new average of 69% since 2016. In environmental news, from ScienceX News Media, an international team of researchers who tracked a record-setting smoke cloud from last winter's Australian wildfires has released its research. Their analysis of NASA satellite data showed that the smoke from the wildfires created a cloud that measured 620 miles across, traveling 41,000 miles and staying in the atmosphere for several months. And that is your health, social, and environmental news for today. Now, it is time for our Words of Wisdom with philosophy professor Dr. Albert Feinstein. And here is Dr. Feinstein.
Thank you, Mr. Van Siegel. Hello and welcome. Today's words of wisdom come from the Dalai Lama, who said, "Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions." Here, the Dalai Lama is pointing out that happiness is directly linked to behavior. It is a result of how we feel about ourselves, which is deeply influenced by how we behave and how we treat other people. Even in the worst of circumstances, a person can find happiness when they feel good about the choices that they make, and they can be proud of the way that they treat other people. And those are your words of wisdom for today. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom and believing in your incredible potential. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Feinstein. We appreciate your words of wisdom and your encouragement. Now, we return to our review of today's news. In economic news from Bloomberg, the gross domestic product, the measure of the total U.S. economy, posted record growth of 33% in the third quarter. However, the number represented a rebound from a deep decline caused by COVID, with the rebound powered by reopenings and spikes in infections happening across the country. The question is whether the recovery will last. In world news from Reuters, France has raised its security threat to its highest level after another deadly attack. The second religiously motivated incident happened yesterday in the city of Nice. This is the latest in a number of attacks involving Muslim extremists. The latest incident occurred on a holy day, with yesterday being the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad. And that is your economic and world news for today. In entertainment news, we start with new movies, and today's movie is Holidate, starring Emma Roberts, Luke Bracey, and Kristen Chenoweth. This movie falls into the categories of comedy and romance. And here is the description from IMDb. Salone and Jackson hate being single on holidays, facing constant judgment from their families. When the two strangers meet, they pledge to be each other's holidate for the year ahead. Holidate is now showing on Netflix. Moving on, in newly released shows, today's show is The Undoing, starring Nicole Kidman, Hugh Grant, and Jonah Jupe. This series falls under the categories of drama and thriller, and here is the description from IMDb. A successful therapist has a devoted husband and a young son at an elite New York school. Overnight, her life unravels with a missing husband and a chain of terrible revelations. The Undoing is now showing on HBO Max. Finally, in entertainment news, we look at newly published books. And our book for today is Greenlights by Matthew McConaughey. This book is presently #1 on the New York Times nonfiction bestseller list, and here is the summary from Amazon. From Matthew McConaughey, an unconventional memoir filled with raucous stories, outlaw wisdom, and lessons learned the hard way by living with greater satisfaction. Greenlights is now available at your local bookstore and in print, audiobook, and Kindle formats on Amazon. And that is your entertainment news for today. As always, we end our broadcast with Hope for Humanity, stories about the goodness and kindness that people show each other every day. And here is today's story. From Grand Junction, Colorado, elementary school students are learning how to spread kindness. Students in the 3rd through 5th grade gifted program at Lincoln Orchard Mesa Elementary School in Grand Junction have been standing on the sidewalks in front of their school recently. The reason? They are sharing signs with positive messages of kindness to people that drive and walk by. This is part of a lesson that the students have been learning about the positive power that kind words and actions have when shared with others. And that is your news for October 30th, 2020. Have a great day.